Notice how this camera angle makes me look really small and insignificant, and this one makes me look much more heroic and powerful? Camera angles are one of the most powerful ways to communicate with your audience without directly telling them what to think about your world or your characters. So in this video, I'm going to show you the best camera angles that you can use to enhance your films and bring out more emotion in your stories. We'll start by going over the 11 shot types that you need to be familiar with as a filmmaker, and then we'll dive into how to actually implement those into your films. Before we jump in though, I just want to let you know that the video you're getting ready to watch is actually a module in a program we offer at Visionary Studios called the 30-Day Filmmaking Kickstart, where we teach filmmakers how to take the film ideas in their heads and turn them into actual movies. You can check out the program by clicking the first link in the description of this video. To get things started, let's talk about the shot that's usually used to begin scenes and set the stage for things to come. This is the establishing shot, a fairly wide shot that lets the audience get familiar with the scene and oriented before cutting in close to the action. It doesn't even necessarily have to have people in it. It could just be some buildings or a forest or wherever your scene is taking place. Usually it's one of the first shots in a scene, and it helps your audience keep from getting confused or disoriented when watching your film. Next on our list is the long shot, which is often used for the establishing shot. A long shot is also used to establish a location, but there's a bigger emphasis on your subject filling the frame, usually showing their whole body on screen. There should be plenty of space above and below your subject. This is a great shot to use if you want to showcase the subject's environment and their relation to what surrounds them. A medium long shot allows more prominence on the subject while allowing the surrounding environment to still be visible. This shot is typically shot from the knees up. A medium shot is frequently used in films to capture a balanced view of a character or scene. This shot allows filmmakers to maintain a sense of intimacy while providing enough context to the audience of the surrounding area. Usually this shot is shot from the subject's waist up. It's a great shot to use when shooting a dialogue scene or showing an actor's face and emotions while still informing the audience of what's going on in the world around them. It also makes the viewer feel as if they're close to the subject because a medium shot closely represents the distance that you view people when you're having a conversation with them. This is the average shot that you'd want to use for a general conversation. The medium close-up is halfway between the medium shot and a close-up, usually shot from the chest up. For an emotional or intense scene where I really want you to connect and empathize with the characters, I usually end up relying really heavily on medium close-ups to allow you to get closer and more intimate with the character without being completely on top of them. This shot also leaves you some room to punch in for a close-up for the really important or emotional lines. Moving on, we have the close-up shot. A close-up is often just the head and maybe the shoulders of the subject, allowing a detailed focus on facial emotions, expressions, and any significant details. It's usually used for important or heartbreaking moments such as climaxes, revelations, or intimate pieces of dialogue and action that help the viewer realize that they should really pay attention to what's being said by the character in the film. The close-up is near enough to the subject to really emphasize emotion, but it's not so close to make the audience feel awkward. Speaking of awkwardness, these extreme close-up shots get us awkwardly close to put an emphasis or importance on a specific detail in your image. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely uncomfortable with you being this close. Generally, rather than it being your character's face though, it's used for anything that you want to make sure that your audience is well aware of. For example, you can use it to punch into a phone screen when somebody's calling if you want the audience to know who's calling. Extreme close-ups allow the audience to drink in all the tiny details of whatever you want to highlight in your film. Now let's talk about low-angle shots. Low-angle shots are usually used to show that characters are in power. It's used to make your subject feel larger, which signifies dominance and control in your scene. This angle is really great to contrast against our next shot, which is the high-angle shot. A high camera angle does completely the opposite by portraying your character as weak, small, and insignificant compared to the other subject. We're looking down to the subject, which makes them smaller both literally and metaphorically. High and low angle shots can be paired together in the same scene to create a visual imbalance of power in between two characters. The Dutch angle shot is designed to make things feel out of balance or disorienting. Filmmakers use the Dutch angle by tilting the camera on its horizontal axis, creating a slanted perspective that does not feel natural. This is not a commonly used shot because of how abrasive it is, but it shows the audience that the character is disoriented, like something isn't quite right. It can create a sense of unease, tension, confusion, or even terror. Dutch angles can be fully utilized to tell the audience that there's something wrong. Over-the-shoulder shots are exactly what they sound like. They're often used during conversations between characters. Filmmakers put the camera behind the shoulder of one of the two characters, placing one in the foreground and one in the actual focus of the shot, giving a view as if you're the one being talked to. This can be used for several different effects depending on your scene. Doing this can make it feel like the two characters are really intimate in the moment or like they're really connecting. But these types of shots can also be used to make things feel like they're closing in on one of the characters or like the person they're talking to to is really an imposing figure and intimidating them. If you watch my most recent short film, My Story, for example, you'll see that pretty frequently I do cut to over-the-shoulder shots when I want Mike to feel like he's imposing himself or really trying to intimidate Liz. Although using different camera angles might be fun and aesthetically pleasing, it's really important to make sure you aren't just throwing lots of camera angles in for fun or just to make the film feel more dynamic. Before incorporating new angles into your scene, first, consider whether they genuinely are going to contribute to your story and the emotion that you're aiming to convey. A common amateur mistake in filmmaking is including unnecessary shots that add confusion rather than help your viewers immerse themselves in the story. Something to be careful of. In film production, there's something known as the 180-degree rule. Imagine there's a line running through your two actors. Your cameras should only be placed on one side of this line and never the other. Because if you were to cross over this line for one of the new angles, they'll both be on the same side of the frame, making it harder for the audience to know where the subjects are in relation to each other. You can decide for yourself which side that you want to be on, where you want to draw the line, but without getting into the weeds, essentially sticking to this rule will really help your audience keep from getting confused while watching your film. Now, I know there's one final question playing in your head at this point about how many camera angles should you have per scene? Well, there's no real specific rule, and it really just depends on the context of your story. But when capturing a normal scene of dialogue, for example, I like to get at least 2 or 3 different camera angles of each person speaking, including wide shots, so that I can have the luxury and flexibility of being able to edit in between all of the different angles. Now, like I said in the start of this video, what you just watched was actually a module in the program we offer at Visionary Studios called the 30-Day Filmmaking Kickstart. When I first got into filmmaking, my head was bursting with ideas for movies and shows that I could make, but I had no idea how to take those ideas and turn them into actual films that looked like the movies from Hollywood that I was watching at my local theater. To be honest, like most filmmakers shooting their first films, my films at the time really sucked. Good luck trying to build a film career when your films are terribly written and look like this. That's why we built the 30-Day Filmmaking Kickstart. We not only teach you how to make your films look incredible, we walk you step by step through the process of becoming a real filmmaker and making your film ideas into actual movies that look like Hollywood quality films in just 30 days. But how do we do it? Break into the film industry in just 30 days? With a little determination and a roadmap for success, it's actually not as crazy as it sounds, even if you don't have any film equipment or contacts. Our program shows you exactly how to take one of your film ideas and make it into an actual short film that you can use to open doors in the film industry. A short film you'll be able to show in theaters and, more likely than not, win awards with. And if you follow our process at the end of the 30 days once you finish your short, you'll have all the knowledge, tools, and contacts you'll need to go out and shoot a feature film ready for the big screen. So if you're ready to get started and take your filmmaking career to the next level, just click on the link below for more information on the 30-Day Filmmaking Kickstart.